All right, folks, thanks so much for tuning back in. As always, make sure that you like, subscribe, hit that notification button. We are so happy and appreciative when we do that. We want to make sure that we can get more content out to you, your friends, your family, so that way we can continue talking about what you like to hear about. Aaron, we're having a great day here this morning in the wee early hours. It's not that early. It's like 11 o'clock.
But it's getting later.
We're not morning people that much. So, but no, we're here at the Omni Hotel in Indianapolis, Indiana for the 5th annual Mainstay Investor Symposium. And getting to talk to some great people. And we're pretty excited to have on with us today my man Henry Washington, who is an entrepreneur, and we'll let him give an introduction as well. But really excited to have you on with us today and talk a little bit about what you do and the influence that you have in the industry, and especially when it comes to investing in real estate investing.
Yeah, so I'm a buy and hold real estate investor is typically what I tell people. I do all the boring stuff, buy houses, put tenants in them, and collect rent every month. But we do a little bit of everything. So we'll do about 10, 15 fix and flips a year. Okay. Got a portfolio is up over about 100 doors, and so we're still growing. But it's a pretty small shop. I think what people most know me from is being a part of the Bigger Pockets community, and so I co-host a couple of their podcasts. So I do the main show maybe about once a month, and then I do a show called On the Market. And so if you guys are, more seasoned investors along your journey on the markets, more of a show that's geared towards what's happening in the current market economy, what's happening in the real estate climate, and then how we as investors either are or aren't making those adjustments. So a little more relevance there. But that's what I do. That's where most people know me from. But other than that, man, I'm just a boring old real estate investor.
No, man, that's cool. I see that you've been on Fox Business and some other programs as well, getting to kind of share the gospel on investing and all that. So we're super excited to have you on here. Right now it's a super interesting market, obviously. Interest rates super high. Home values, it's really interesting. So, and I'm interested in your thoughts on this because with the interest rates still being so high and the home values still being high, right? Like it hasn't corrected yet. What do you think is going to happen in the next 12 to 24 months?
Just jumping into predictions, huh?
So tell me what I need to do.
I mean, we obviously know nobody knows. We just like to talk about it and see what's going to happen.
It's pretty unprecedented, right? With interest rates high and home values high. And I guess that number is relative.
What do you think is going to break first, the home values or the interest rates?
No, I don't think home values break. I think the kind of the X factor here is inventory. I mean, as a country, we don't have enough homes for people who A, want to own homes, and even B, who want to rent homes, right? So you've got a supply and demand issue. Yeah. And so even though interest rates are high, you still got buyer demand out there for the product that is available. If you look at most markets across the country, they still don't have the amount of available homes on the market than they had pre-COVID. Right, so there's still less homes available for sale. Now, demand has gone down because interest rates are high and less people can afford the homes that are out there, but the people that can afford are still buying. And so I don't know that home values go down significantly. Yeah. I think you're going to see some drops in some markets, but there's a lot of markets where where markets are going to stay flat and sometimes still even go up, even though interest rates are going up, just because of either the supply or demand or what the market economies are that are driving people to live there.
Yeah. Do you think, I know with post-COVID and a lot of large companies that are, remote work is growing, it seemingly still since COVID. Are you seeing a shift out of cities and into kind of more rural markets and getting some drafting out of that?
I think there's some of that. I think there's definitely people who are trying to move out of, especially if they have jobs that allow them to do remote work. Right. I think that's even starting to change. Remote work is kind of, flattening back out. It was everybody was like, you can work from wherever, and then now people are like, well, the office is, we still kind of want you to be around. And so I think that's starting to dwindle. But other people who still have flexibility in where they're able to work now still have mobility to move to more affordable areas, and I think you're still seeing some of that migration. But people still want to live in cool places.
Yeah.
And cool places are typically going to cost you more.
Yeah,
money.
you want to be around stuff. You want to be able to go to sporting events and things, so like you can go out a little further. It's like if I can still get to town in 20, 30 minutes, like that's cool.
But I think I think that yes, there are people that are still moving to it, and I think people doing more research about what's really a cool place to live, right? It doesn't have to be L.A., Florida, Austin, Texas, right? There are a few more cool cities that maybe aren't as on the radar, right?
Yeah, that's cool. One thing I saw about you, which is really dear to us, is you do a lot of give back. Yeah. And with the on the Bigger Pockets podcast, I think you guys talk about this, and you guys, it's really near and dear to our heart.
Yeah.
And that's something that we do I think we're very blessed, right? We have good jobs, we have great families, we're in a good position, and I think it's our responsibility to help people. And so people in our community and a lot of different things that we do, kind of, where'd this come from with you?
Yeah, man. My so without diving too deep into my origin story as an investor, I bought my first deal 90 days after having a panic attack about not knowing how I was going to take care of my family financially. And so that was a pretty quick transition, and it's not just a transition of, I figured out how to make some money. It was a transition of I figured out how I was going to build wealth. It was a 90-day turnaround. It was insane. And so after I did that first deal, I felt this feeling not of relief or happiness. It was more of responsibility. I just felt like God didn't lead me down a path of finding this thing that was going to change my life in 90 days just so that I could hoard all this information and this wealth. I felt like I was being called to share it. I felt this responsibility to share it. So that's literally the day I started my social media, just because I didn't know how else to share the information with people other than put it on the internet and hope somebody sees it every once in a while.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the first seed that was planted. I never really felt like any of this was for me. It was for me to share. And then as I started to get into the business of real estate investing, outside of just doing one deal, but now building a business that has lead flow, that I'm actually building a portfolio, I started to learn that this real estate business really isn't a real estate business. It's not really about real estate. It's a people business that happens to transact in real estate. And the more I figured out how to be of service to the people that I was dealing with, the more I figured that my business was actually going to grow. And it was almost counterproductive sometimes, because I would walk into people's homes and figure out how I could help them solve their problem. Because typically we know as an investor, right, you go in, somebody needs to sell their home, not want to. If they want to, they call a realtor. If they need to, sometimes they need an investor. Yeah. And so I was finding these situations where people think that they need to sell their home to solve this problem, when actually I was able to walk in there and find a way to help them without them selling their home. And I just felt this obligation to do that, because even though, I could have got a great deal that made me all kinds of money, the real right thing to do is, if I can help you and you can keep your home, then I'm doing more of a service to my community and to you than by me buying it. And so I just learned that we're going to try to do the right thing by people. We're going to try to make sure that we help everybody we come across. If that means we buy a house, that's great. If that means we don't buy a house, that's great too. If it means it costs me some money, but you get to keep your home, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and just so our viewers know exactly what we're talking about, you've done things from helping people with a rent payment to helping people with a utility bill to cutting their grass. I mean, just a wide variety of different things, and being a blessing to those that are in need at the moment.
Yeah,
which is really awesome.
That's the goal, man. Every appointment to me is not about a deal I need to close. It's just about somebody I need to help, and if I can help them and not buy their house, then I want to do that as well. I don't want to make money on a community that I'm not of service to. Yeah.
That's really cool. I'm going to have to earmark that. I don't want to make money in a community that I'm not in service to. That's awesome. Yeah. That's really cool. So talk to us a little bit, and I did jump right into some
no warm up there.
Backpedal here a little bit, and you just gave kind of a little bit of a background of how you got into investing and everything. But when you look at your overall approach into your business, and then even with your podcast and all of that, how do you, what's your leadership philosophy that you lead into with these things?
Yeah, for me, it's I always teach the people aspect of real estate. I teach my students and my team, like, we don't always make the best business decision, but we always try to make the best people decision. If that costs us money, then we're okay with that. And so it's always a philosophy of like being of service, and looking to give and add value. I think adding value is the key to success in any business. It's the key to success in relationships. I think a lot of the times, especially at events like this, we're here and people want to network, right? And people want to network because there's something they're looking to get from the people that are in the room, right? That's the goal, right? I have some things, you have some things, let's exchange some things. But most people see networking as an opportunity to take, and I think networking is more about an opportunity to give. And so in rooms like this, I want to meet people like you. I want to meet people like Evan. I want to meet people like, all the people sitting in the room gathering the information. My goal is, how do I help you with something? Because if I help you and I haven't asked you for anything, you're going to remember me over everybody else that you met in this room, right? You're going to remember, this guy just went out of his way to try to help me out. I didn't know him from Adam, and he tried to solve that problem. And that, in turn, brings you the things that you need down the road. You don't always have to get it right in the spot. It's more about adding value. I mean, even in this, right? You asked me before we started, like, what can I say to help your business, or what questions can I ask you? And I'm like, I don't want you to ask me anything that has to do with me. I'm here for you guys. I want to add value to your show. And what comes from that for me is down the road, who knows?
Yeah, that's awesome. So what, you said you have 100 doors in your portfolio, right, or over 100 doors right now in your portfolio. Yeah. Is that all, you're from the Arkansas area? Yeah. Is that all in that area? You branching out further?
Yeah, I'm a backyard investor for the most part. So everything is in Northwest Arkansas, a little bit in Missouri, and I've got a mobile home park in Mississippi. But that's the furthest deal I have.
Gotcha.
I only bought that because I couldn't say no to it.
Yeah, I saw that you kind of started off with single doors and then kind of moved into multifamily.
Yeah, I still buy singles, man.
Yeah, and then how's the multifamily deals going?
They're good, man. They're good. I like single family and small multifamily real estate. I don't really do much large commercial real estate.
Okay.
And so it's good, man. I've got 20 doors under contract right now, and the biggest of the is an 8 unit. And then I've got a couple duplexes. It's great.
Did you start your own management firm to kind of deal with all the houses?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So you're doing it all. Like, what is your structure right now? Who's handling it all? You?
No.
I haven't heard your phone ring, so I'm like, wait, there's got to be a broken water pipe somewhere on 100 doors.
Yeah, that's true. We did just have a broken water pipe. So my wife was managing our portfolio up until about 3 months ago.
Okay.
And then we just turned it all over to professional management.
Okay.
And so we're out of that business.
How's that
now.
going? That can feel like taking your kid to college.
She says great. She says great. So how about that?
It's been fantastic turning it over.
Yeah?
Yeah. Found a mutual.
So obviously you have a lot of trust in the organization that you picked. And
yeah, 100%.
how many did you look at before you narrowed down the
I actually didn't look at any.
How many did she look at?
No. It was more of a so the company who runs my property management, ProX Property Management is what they're called. Tyler Casey, the owner, is a friend of mine, and so I have some properties in Missouri. That's where his company originally started.
Okay.
And so they managed my few doors that I had up there, just because they're about an hour away from where I live. And then he opened a branch down in Northwest Arkansas. And so since he was wanting to grow, and I already was doing business with him, and this is probably the only property management company where I don't have to wonder if they care about my properties as much as I do, which is the biggest rub for
that's
people
why I asked that
turning
question.
it over. I don't have that concern. Matter of fact, he's more efficient and than I would ever be. So even though I may care more, I can't be as efficient as him because I don't have the network that he has within his business. And so, just have it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm very lucky. It's hard to find that in the property management.
It comes back full circle to the relationships that you're talking about, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yes.
Totally.
Yeah.
Let's switch gears a little bit. Get on that play harder side. What kind of things your wife here with you today?
Yeah.
You guys got a couple of kids and all that. What are you guys doing in your spare time on your play harder side of life?
We travel a lot, so we try to take the kids pretty much in all the cool places we go.
Yeah. Are you guys beach people or mountain people?
It
seems
like
it's
beach.
Beach,
no,
okay. Yeah.
Me too.
We're not outdoorsy people. We live in a market that's like built for outdoorsy stuff, and so we like to look at it from air conditioning. And really go out into it. But no, we hang out with our kids a lot. We're fortunate enough to be able to now homeschool the kids, and so they spend a lot of time with us. And so we go do all kinds of fun stuff, but it's mostly hanging out with the kids.
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. They here with you this weekend?
No, not this weekend.
Okay.
We just got back from Orlando a couple weeks ago.
Gotcha.
You guys go to Disney or just hang out in Orlando?
We did. We went to Disney and did all kinds of stuff, man.
Yeah, I've been to Disney. So I have 3 daughters.
Yeah.
And so I took the oldest one when she was 4. And so then I had 2 more daughters. And so I had to take each one of them when they were 4, right?
Yeah.
And so I went 3 times and I got done with the last time. I was like, I'm never going back to Disney.
Yeah.
It was just so crowded, everything. But then, like you said, I like to travel with my kids too. And so we decided for Christmas, instead of just getting a bunch of junk, we're going to take them on trips. And so we went on a Disney cruise.
Oh,
and
man.
it wasn't bad. I enjoyed it. It was pretty cool. The kids wanted to go to this kids club, so somebody else was watching them.
Yeah.
And then we got to hang out. Me and my wife get a little time together and stuff. So if Disney was too much, we'd go on the cruise sometime. It was awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm going to need a little bit of sponsorship money from Disney Cruise Lines. You
Yeah.
can reach out
Yeah, a little bit for you. It's not a big deal.
Just teasing. One of the things that we always focus on, again, we feel incredibly blessed in the position that we're in, and a lot of it comes because of the relationships that we continue to talk about and people that have invested in us and the knowledge. And obviously we've learned from our own mistakes, but we've also had the privilege of learning from other people's mistakes. And so what's maybe 1 or 2 things that you had to take a bump on the noggin in this journey that you're on that might be able to help some of our viewers as they begin, or maybe they're in the middle of their investing journey, hey, this is one thing that, man, if I knew right off the bat, it could have helped me.
Yeah. So for people just starting out, I think what really kind of was a wake-up call for me was understanding hiring contractors and managing renovations, right? I think when you're new, you're like, yes, real estate, it can help me build wealth. I can flip a house, I can make 50, 60, 70 grand, right? And we just go down this path of how do we go find these good deals? How do we negotiate, talk to the sellers, right? How do we structure all this financing so that I can close on the deal? And then we close on it, and we're like, oh crap, I did it, I got the deal. And then you're like, oh, well, now I got to renovate this thing. I have no idea how to do that. And this whole world of contractors, subcontractors, and managing renovations is hard. It's probably the hardest part about the business still to this day.
Yeah, we get it.
And so I would say, prepare yourself as best you can on the front side to learn about how to hire good contractors, work with good contractors, talk to other contractors and subcontractors. I'm not saying you got to go have it all lined out and figured out before you take a step. That's not what I think. You should still be focused on going and finding good deals. That's the most important part. But once one of my first deals that we did was we bought 4 duplexes that needed all the work ever. And it was such a screaming deal. We were like, we got to get it closed. And then we started to try to, hire contractors. And we wasted a lot of time and a lot of money, probably in that process, because I didn't really know what I was doing. And so, I would say that's an aspect that's typically overlooked by new investors, that, if you can talk to a seasoned investor, it can kind of give you some pointers on how to do that.
Yeah. So if somebody is just getting into real estate and they're looking for a good property to invest in, how do they know, hey, this is a good property? How do I avoid the alligators or what they get called, So what's that process like?
You mean a good property in terms of structurally, or a good property in terms of deal?
No, a good deal.
Yeah.
A good deal. So they're not overspending, then they got to put money in it, and then they're not getting their money back.
I think the best way to figure out what a good deal looks like in your market is to talk to people who buy good deals.
Yeah.
So when you come to events like this, for example, there are people in the room locally here who are really good or who are working in good deals. That's the conversations you need to be having. And investors love to talk about their deals.
Right. Yeah.
So like you can just go up to an investor and be like, "Oh man, that's so cool. You do deals here. What'd your last deal look like? Would you buy it for? Where was it?" They'll tell you all about it. They'll tell you where it was, what they bought it for, what they did do it, if they're selling it, if they're renting it, if they're doing more deals in that area, if they hate that area. Like they'll give you all this information about what a good deal looks like. And so that's one of the best ways is to talk to people doing deals about their deals. They'll give you all the tea about good deals. I think the most important things a new investor should be doing is learning what good deals look like in their market and then learning how to go find those good deals. Pick one strategy and pursue it relentlessly, consistently until it produces results.
Yeah, that's good. What's your target margin? So when you're taking on a door, which is a new term to me, so I feel like I'm just going to keep saying a door. And when you're taking on a new house, what's your target margin? So you say, all right, I'm going to keep this one. I'm going to rent it out. What are you looking for?
I think that's different because I'm not new.
Sure.
I think for a new person, you should be looking to buy cash flow, even at an 8 or a 9% interest rate. The idea is you buy at a deep enough discount that you can make it cash flow now. If rates come down in a year, 2 years, 3 years, then you can refinance and get even more cash flow later. And so I say it's different because I may buy a deal right now that doesn't cash flow.
Yeah.
I may buy a deal that breaks even right now because I love the neighborhood that it's in, right? And so maybe it's a phenomenal location. It's going to break even. That's okay for me. I've got a portfolio that cash flows that can sustain the deal that breaks even. I've got a portfolio that cash flows that can sustain the deal that maybe I'm losing a little bit of money on every month.
Yeah.
I also make money from other income streams that I need to offset through depreciation. And so I might buy a property because the cost segregation I get from that property is worth way more to me than the $200 a month cash flow that I might be getting from it. So what I'm looking for in a deal is not what the normal investor should be looking for. I think the investor just starting out, you still have to buy discounted deals that cash flow even in this market.
Yeah.
If you're new and you're buying a deal that breaks even, I don't know that you necessarily have the experience to or the portfolio to carry that deal or the experience to know what could go wrong with you buying that break-even deal, and can you sustain it if it does?
Yeah.
So you got to buy cash flow, which means you got to buy deeply discounted deals, which means you got to get really, really uncomfortable.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you get so I'll have Aaron explain this here in just a second on a way that we work through some investments on new purchases and frankly how we work within our realtor network and so on and so forth. But do you ever do I'm sure you're doing inspections and all that before you're buying a property. You buying them sight unseen?
No, I'll go see them.
Okay.
I'll look at them.
You'll look at them.
But I'm not hiring an inspector.
I got you.
Are you typically buying them from a homeowner?
Yeah, I'm direct to seller mostly.
Okay. Have you ever ran across one, or you just say, hey, I'll take it as is, cash deal?
Yeah.
So no problems, no headaches type of deal?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are they all that way, or?
Most of the deals that I buy?
Yeah.
Meaning, do I want the sellers to do anything to it?
Well, no. Here,
let
let me explain why I ask. Because so one of our companies is Indy Roof Company.
Yeah.
And I work with a lot of realtors and purchases, and then I'm just trying to figure out if this can apply to kind of the real estate side, of the way that you guys do it on the investment side.
Yeah.
So in a purchase of a normal real estate deal, right? They have the inspection, et cetera. Those inspectors never really look at they look at the main things, right?
Yeah.
But they're not looking at roofs like I look at roofs, right? They're not looking for hail damage. They're not looking for wind creasing and these different things. So as an example, I just bought my house, right? And I went and looked at it, had hail damage. The shingle was discontinued, and so you couldn't even repair it because that shingle's gone. So I had the homeowner file a claim. Didn't cost him anything. I was paying the deductible, and he went ahead and filed the claim for me, turned over an assignment of claim to me. I got the claim. We made the deal. Then on that claim, I ended up getting $90,000 for new roof, new gutters, and some paint and some other things. So then, me being the contractor worked out really well for me. Yeah. I got roof, gutters, painted the whole thing, repainted the interior, redid some of the tile, all on the dime of that insurance claim, and completely renovated the look of the house and brought it to a modern stance. I've been doing this for years with realtors, right? And I'll have a realtor. It changed a little bit, in 21, 22, when like you could just sell it with a dead body in there, and like nobody cared.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But before that, I had realtors that call me and say, "Hey, man, this roof's ugly as hell. Can you see if there's storm damage on it?" And in Indiana, there's a lot of storm damage. Can we see? And then we'd completely renovate it. It'd have roof, siding, gutters, whatever was on there, and then they'd end up tacking on $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 onto the sale price. But if they didn't, and it got caught in the inspection, then the buyer got that equity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So is there any way that if somebody is an investor and they're looking at buying these homes, direct to seller, that you could incorporate saying, "Hey, you know what? Would you mind filing a claim?" They don't go against you. It's a comprehensive claim.
Yep.
Sign this thing. I'll take care of the deductible. And then you can get a lot of that stuff that you're talking about renovating paid for through an insurance claim with legitimate storm damage. Not everyone's going to have it, but just wondering if you can work that in, because I'm just getting into investing. I got some properties myself, and I'm wondering if I can make that work somewhere along the way for me as well.
Yeah. Yeah, we've done that typically when we're selling properties.
Yeah.
So,
Before you sell it?
But as buyers come in, right, we'll sometimes do that. We'll file a claim if there's roof damage and the buyer wants a new roof. So we filed a claim and had roofs replaced so that we could sell the house. I've never done that on the buy side.
So here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
Here's the thing on that. So you said the way that you said it is you had the buyer come in, they saw that there was roof damage, and then you filed a claim. You guys had agreed to a price at that point. Mm-hmm. There's another side of it before, like as a buyer, like I want them to file a claim, of course. But if you're selling and there's roof damage, we have them file the claim before that, because then you get new roof, new gutters, new siding, and you can list it appropriately, right? So now you're tacking on money. So it works from the buyers or the seller side. And what's insane to me, and it may make sense because I've been in roofing and renovation for years, but like it literally is a phone call. So if somebody calls a restoration company that they trust, and whether it's in Arkansas or anywhere, coming in and looking at that, you're either securing your money up front before you sell it, or you're adding instant equity on the back when you buy it. So, I mean, that's something to maybe think about when we're going through as investors, is like, hey, before you lock into a price, make sure that you're not, if you do it that way and they've locked into a price and they want to claim, you're losing money because you're paying a deductible or something instead of gaining the equity. Yeah. So
that's cool, man. No, I've never done it on that side.
Yeah.
That's super
cool. We're exchanging ideas. I love it. So let me ask you this. What are you most excited for in the next 12 months?
Two things. So we're focused more on growth this year.
Yeah.
From a profit or revenue side?
From really just accumulating assets.
Okay.
Doors.
Gotcha.
Door side.
Yeah. There's a lot of fear.
By the way, I like the door on your neck.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah. There's a lot of fear in the investing market right now.
Okay.
Fear with people wanting to buy because the interest rates are high, right? There's a crazy headline every day out there, right? That's scaring people away from real estate. And Warren Buffett, right? You want to be greedy when people are fearful, and fearful when people are greedy. And so my goal right now is we're going to accumulate 100 doors this year, so I want to double my portfolio.
Double it, yeah.
Because there's less competition, right? Less investors in the space because of the interest rates, and so a lot of the new investors or fly-by-night investors are kind of waiting on the sidelines, whereas the more seasoned investors are actually buying. And then tough economic times make for more situations where people need to sell, and so I can actually buy deeper discounts. And so it's if you decide to wait, you're either going to, so you can either buy now and get a lower price at a higher interest rate, or you can wait and you can buy later when interest rates come down, and you can get a higher price at a lower interest rate.
Right.
But you can't refi the high price.
Right.
So I'm going to buy now at a higher interest rate. I want it to cash flow now. And then when rates come down, it could be, and I'm not saying they're going to come down tomorrow, guys. It could be 3 to 5 years from now, right? But when rates come down, because they will come down, interest rates fluctuate, I will have the option of either refinancing that property and really getting great cash flow, or selling that property, and I'll have had 2 to 3 years of debt pay down in the meantime, plus the appreciation that's going to happen when and if rates come down, because we still have an inventory problem. So rates come down, everybody on the sidelines jumps in, which means that house now goes up in value by 10 to 15% because you've got multiple people bidding on the same assets again, right? And so that's the hedge I'm making right now.
Yeah.
But I'm not doing it recklessly. Like, I'm not buying deals that don't make sense right now.
Sure. Yeah. I think that's one of the things that's most important. I don't know if it matters what business you're in, if you're an investor, if you are a business owner or anything. Like, you've got to have the grit to take an opportunity to, like everyone else is looking at the market, like you're alluding to, and looking at it like, oh man, it's pretty rough right here. This is when people make lots of money.
This is what you asked for as an investor. And I think it's hard. People don't realize what they're asking for when they start down a business like this, right? People are saying, well, I want to invest in real estate because I want to create wealth. Yeah, that's awesome. But what are you really asking for? Creating wealth means buying when people are scared, which means it's scary.
Exactly.
Which means you've got to get over the fear and do it anyway, and then you can reap the benefit later. If you're buying when nobody's scared, you're probably not getting much equity appreciation or cash flow.
If you're into
everybody's buying it, everybody's doing it. If it's easy, everybody does it type of deal.
Exactly. If you're into whatever you're doing, if it's investing, if it's starting a business, and you're doing it when it feels most comfortable, that's probably when you're going to fail. Is because there's a reason that everyone else is also comfortable, because everyone else is doing it. You got to be willing to take those risks. That's really what entrepreneurship is all about.
That's it. That is 100% it.
Yeah. Awesome. What other questions you got, my man?
Man, I think we're good. I covered all my questions. And
questions you have for us?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. What?
I've never asked.
Give us the scoop. You guys are both in the contracting world. What should real estate investors be doing to ensure that they find the right contractors or subcontractors? How do they protect themselves from working with contractors?
Great question. You want to go first?
Yeah, sure.
Go first, I'll ask.
I mean, you have the obvious answers. Always look for a reputable contractor. They've got good reviews. They've got, their insurance. And there's somebody that's not going to be a fly-by-night, one guy, one truck type of deal, because those are the people that disappear when problems happen. Those are the people that take your money and then they never finish the job. And, so unless you thoroughly know, like a one guy, one truck type of deal that's been doing it for 50 years and you trust, I would go with a reputable contractor. This kind of flows into what I was saying to you earlier. Find a contractor that you trust. In our case, we're full restoration. We're only in Indianapolis, so like anywhere in the country, find somebody that you can work with that will give you an honest evaluation and let you know this is what I'm looking for. Because these inspectors don't look at the same things that like we look at when I go to a property for a real estate investor or a realtor. I'm looking for evidence of getting them equity or getting them money. They're not looking for hail hits. They're not looking for these things. They're looking for problems. Electrical outlets that aren't working, and leaky pipes. Foundational issues. Yeah. Like, are they getting on the roof and looking and saying, "Oh, wow, that's a hail bruising right there"? That's damage. Like, it's not going to be an instant leak, but it will deteriorate the roof much quicker because now the tar is exposed, the sun's hitting it all day, granules are falling off, and now all of a sudden your 8-year-old roof looks like it's 16 years old. Right? And so you find somebody to go out and give you an honest opinion. Hey, roof looks great, no claim here, nothing going on. But if there is damage, find somebody that's going, okay, hey, there's damage here. I think there's a pretty good shot that we get a claim and we get it covered. What can we get covered? We don't just do roofs. We do roof, siding, gutters, paint, interior. And so we'll go through and we'll look at all of this stuff. We'll take photos of everything because if you're filing a claim for storm damage, you want to get everything covered. Yeah. And then doing it at the right times. Like I said, if you're going to sell, just double check before you sell. If you've never had the roof looked at, you've never had the gutters looked at, double check before you sell, because if it comes up in inspection, you're losing money, right? You're paying $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 deductible, and deductibles are getting high right now, right? Especially if you're down in Texas and Florida and Colorado and like these places, like you're talking 2% and 3%, right, of home value, and so. They're not that bad here yet, thank God. We're still in the $1,000 to $1,500, $2,000 range, but like that comes out of pocket. So now your profits are going down. When you could have double checked beforehand, it's a 10-second text to somebody that you trust. They go out and look. If there's no problem, cool, they get a letter, right? There is a problem though. You're getting it fixed beforehand. And then you get new roof, new siding, and gutters. You typically retain, maybe 75% of these upgrades on your home. Yep. And so now instead of listing it for $150,000, you're listing it for $180,000. So instead of losing money, you gain money. Right. And then you do the same thing on the buyer side. Like, yeah, the inspector said everything's cool, but I'm going to have my guy come look at the house real quick. You look for storm damage. You've already locked them into a price on the buying side. Realize there's storm damage. Now they have to file a claim. You get the equity out of it. So, like, as far as the biggest swings I've seen in real estate, that's exactly how it's been. Like we just did. I do have a commercial strip center with my brother. He does all the work. I don't do the work. I just invested 20% or what, And but we did the same thing on there and got a new. It's 130 squares, got a new TPO roof, got a new metal awning around it, got some interior work done. $360,000 claim.
Wow.
That it started leaking bad. That like could have potentially been out of our pocket.
Yeah.
But instead, we had it done this way, and then we got a brand new. So all the investors now have a brand new secure roof that's going to last another 20, 25 years.
Yep.
Brand new, beautiful awning. We got to update it because it was old and ugly and like tan and like the sun had been hitting this side more than this side. So now it's all black and tan, and it's really dope. So I think just being very conscious of those type of restoration things before you sell or when you're buying, so you get the money put in the spot at the right time.
Yeah, and I think that's spot on. And just to kind of piggyback on that real quick, why it's so important is because, if you make an investment in a home and the furnace goes out, that's $5,000. Furnace and AC goes out, that's what, $8 to $10,000 in our market, probably similar in yours, I think. If your roof needs to be replaced, that is typically between 10 to 20% of the value of the property. So now you got 10, 20% of your investment that you got to spend money on. So that's why this is a trick that we've used, or not really a trick, but just a strategy that we've used that has helped us out. I think the only other thing that I would add on to that is it's the relationships thing.
Yeah.
I think you want somebody that's got tenure in the market. Look at, are they Google guaranteed? Are they with the Better Business Bureau? And I'm not saying that they have to be, but look for those things. Have they been around for a while? And then I guarantee no matter what situation you're in, you know someone that knows somebody. And ask some questions about, hey, are they good? Do they finish their work on time? Those sorts of things.
Another thing I would ask you is, what makes an investor somebody you want to work with, right? So when what are the qualities that the investors have that when they call you, you're answering the phone because you want to get their jobs done?
I think it's reciprocal for me. Like,
Yeah.
I want to work with people that want to work with me and have a good relationship and a good partnership. Even down to how we employ people, we're very cultural oriented individuals. We always talk about how we hire for culture and we train for aptitude. Like we can train you how to do just about everything and anything.
Right.
But so we kind of look at that like it's people like you, right, that are involved in the community. It's not just about dollars and cents, but it's about helping people.
Yeah.
That's what I'm attracted to, and I know Aaron is the same way.
Yeah, same way. And then I think it goes back to the same thing that I said about hiring a contractor. Trust. Seeing that, hey, you've been doing it successfully. You've been around. It's not somebody that's going to take my money and run. You know what I mean? There's a lot of scams going on there these days, like everybody on social media doing these scam things and whatnot. So it's just, you want to know that when you hand over to your hard-earned dollars confidently that it's going to somebody that you trust, and hopefully you'll get a return on that dollar down the road.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Well, good questions, man. We appreciate you. I don't think we've ever asked anybody to ask us questions.
Yeah, I know. That was fun.
But since you have a podcast, I mean, you know what you're doing here as well. Hey, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank
we
you.
really appreciate it. Henry Washington out of Fayetteville, Arkansas, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so thank you so much again for
Thank
being
you.
on here.
I appreciate
And
it.
we always appreciate you, our viewers. Make sure, again, that you like, you subscribe, hit that notification. And then, I'll tell you what, we'll stay connected with Henry. If you've got any questions for him that you want to put in the chat, make sure that you do that. We'll reach out to Henry, we'll get some answers, and kick them back to you. But until we meet again.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for joining the
I
Work
think this is
Hard
the last
Player
one of the
podcast.
day.
Yeah. Thanks again.